Never. Honestly, didn't even hear the we're going live part. So
It's okay. But guess
had
what?
we shut up at the right time?
We're already live.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Action.
Action,
Okay.
exactly.
Man, we have Dan Eubanks with us. Can you believe it?
Yes. I know. I'm excited.
It's
I was
been-
excited when you called me and told me so.
It's good to be
Yay.
here. You guys got a really swank studio. This is
Well,
awesome.
swanky since the last time you drove in.
I think it's been 2 years since I was on with both of you on the show with
Mhm.
both you guys
Yeah.
in the
Wow.
morning on the radio.
2 years. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, that would have been the last time you were running.
That was.
It
And
was.
I don't want to just come on when I'm running. I want to come and
Right,
talk to
right,
people
right.
about all kinds of stuff.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And it's been quite a while for us to have a local legislative representative from the House to talk about Mississippi, because obviously with the stuff going on in the country, we're able to talk about plenty every day, but we don't
Yeah.
get the chance
Too much,
to.
a little bit too much.
Right. We don't
Yeah.
really get the chance for the local stuff enough.
Right.
So what you been up to, sir?
I've been busy, man. You know, the old expression, busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest. That's kind of how I feel. A lot of legislators, unless you're retired
Yeah.
or independently wealthy or maybe self-employed, you're trying to hold down your bill-paying job back home while being gone for 3 or 4 months out of the year. So my schedule is basically I leave on Friday morning after we gavel out, drive to work Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. I was at staff this morning on Monday, get in the car, drive straight here to be here by 4 when we gavel in, and just repeat the cycle. So usually by the end
Wow.
of session, I'm spent.
Out of breath.
I got some snow days in there, so otherwise I wouldn't have had a day off for 3 months. So I'm not complaining. I signed up for it. But you know, when you're passionate about something and you want to
Right.
fight for something, you do what it takes. I mean,
Exactly.
it doesn't cost me as much as our founding fathers or the good boys and girls out fighting wars across my life, as far as I know, other than driving back and forth from North Mississippi down here, isn't at risk. And so I'm willing to do my part. And if that means I don't get a day off for a few months each year, I'm willing to do that. So
Yeah, I wish that the Benny Thompson type people had that kind of schedule without the privately
there,
trading stocks in the background. Now I know
Yeah.
they're working to get that change. Who knows if it'll happen?
you think it's going to
and
happen?
how
Really?
it's going to be implemented.
Do I-
That's
You
what I'm
you really
thinking
think
about.
they're going to self-limit? That's
right?
like
I was fixing to say they have to vote on it.
put
so
your kid in charge of the cookie jar. You know, it's kind of
there needs to be some incentives. Let's get.
Well, I
think
mean,
it's a
they're the
good
ones that have
incentives.
to vote on it, so I'm not looking for it to
Right.
probably pass, unfortunately. And
Can
I
we think
don't,
of a reward system that, like, if they
Yeah.
vote on that, they get a cookie?
I don't know that
How about we unelect them if they can't be?
See, that's
that's
if that
the
could just
reward. You
be
get to
the
go back
easiest
if you
part of
really.
it. I mean, that's how it was set up originally, but apparently a lot of
Yeah.
people do not understand this.
I
Yeah.
know.
and
Sad.
that's sad but true.
It really is.
I know that Nancy Pelosi and what's his name, Paul the Midnight Hammer, they didn't follow along with that too well.
Well, you know, there's actually a site out there that tracks all the trades done by all of our congressmen and women, and
Interesting.
they will let you know what they're getting in on and out on. You know, they know all the business that the government's going to do with private companies.
Contractors.
So it's like, hey, let's buy some options,
Yeah.
and a lot of it I think we're not even aware of because they have family members and people that aren't in the immediate circle that aren't being monitored. You know, I could tell my brother, hey, you know what, we're about to invest how many $1 billion in Intel. You know, the government's going to get into the private equity investment business, and I just let him know beforehand, and he goes and loads up on options, and so that's the problem.
Yeah.
There
This
is
true.
there's not a lot of oversight and accountability, and people always wonder why folks go into Congress being worth one amount of money and they come out being worth a whole different amount of money. We've even had a few of our Mississippi people under the microscope on that very thing. And so
Right.
if you're that good at picking stocks, you probably picked the wrong profession. Maybe you should go to Wall Street.
Exactly.
Or give me a call. I need a hookup every now and then. I'm just
I
kidding.
mean,
but
call one of your
the rent's
friends.
too damn high.
Exactly.
You remember the guy in New York? That was his campaign?
Exactly. That's
Take-
my
Take
guy
me
right
to
there.
Vegas. Can I catch a ride? No.
Yeah.
Benny Thompson being one of them.
Yeah.
Of
Oh, yeah.
course.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And I mean, to me, one of the other things is when somebody does get caught and they go to, they go in front of, the congressman and we, this is the part that bugs me too, is that we act like we're going to bring somebody to justice,
Yeah.
and they either don't show up and we don't do anything about it, which crickets on that. But then when they do come and we find out and there's evidence, and then crickets some more.
Or they get a
So
deal
what is the point?
where they get to sign immunity for present and future crimes. You know, there's
Future crimes.
you know, the statewide, I don't know if it's made it down into this media market, but up north in DeSoto County, we've had several instances of improper behavior between teachers or people, youth pastor or stuff like that, and minors, right? And just recently, there is a worship leader at a
Mhm.
church up in Horn Lake that just is going to prison for 3 years because he sent a nude picture of himself to somebody that he thought was a 16-year-old, but it wasn't a 16-year-old. It was actually somebody undercover posing as a 16-year-old.
Oh,
Not justifying that at all. Don't need to be doing that kind of stuff.
nope.
But he will go to prison and do hard time for 3 years. And we have 3 million documents of documented pedophiles doing horrible, horrible things. And you will never see them.
Nope.
You'll never see them pay the price. So it's
No,
like,
no.
it's the same way when it comes to investing, all that. There's one level of punishment for the common folks. And then when you reach a certain level, either be it in government or wealth,
celebrity,
yeah.
elite.
you just
The
you get a
elite.
pass. And the American people are tired of that.
They're very
They
tired.
are
Yeah.
ready to see some heads roll and some people perp walked and all that. But I know before we came in here to the studio, we were watching some Hillary Clinton testimony of her kind of losing her stuff. You ask yourself, if you're not guilty of anything, you know, a clear conscience makes a soft pillow. If you're not guilty of anything, why do you need to load up with lawyers?
Right. That's number one.
Well, I
And
might
she-
say the wrong thing and let something slip.
And she
you know?
had them on
That's
both
number one.
sides too.
Oh,
not
I
just
know.
one.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
And number two, just with the answer that we saw, you know,
oh yeah,
do
Ju-
you have any knowledge of? And instead of just answering an emphatic, no, I do not,
gibberish.
it's gibberish.
Oh,
And
I-
how dare you? And that's disgusting. It's like, you didn't answer the question.
Never
Yes, we
met
think
'em.
you're disgusting for doing that, but answer the question.
And
Yeah.
poor Bill, I watched some of the Bill Clinton. He's not the same Bill he used to be.
No, he looked pretty bad for
Yeah.
a while, and I just have this underlying suspicion he's got other health issues that
Yeah.
are pretty serious.
Well, remember they told us that Biden was fine for how many years? I mean,
Well, you know,
I mean,
put on your
I-
tinfoil hat, and
I-
it's like supposedly he died in 2019 or something like that.
I've heard
Had a
so
double-
many stories.
Right.
I've seen so many like conspiracy
yeah.
theories, like look at the earlobes,
He had a
they don't
mask.
match
There
up,
was
you
an-
know.
yeah.
and the mask.
And
It
yeah,
used the mask.
and now they're
Yes,
doing the
oh my
same thing
God.
with Jim Carrey. Have you seen all
I
that?
Oh, yeah.
saw that and I'm
Yeah.
like, what? It's really easy to tell. He got some Botox, y'all.
It looked
Oh,
like he
he
had some
definitely
plastic
got-
surgery and Botox. is what it
Yeah, I
looks
mean,
like.
obviously he got some lifts done.
Yeah, I mean, right in here.
but
yeah.
everything else looks the exact same. The teeth struck, everything.
Yeah.
Like,
But you know,
somebody wants to
unfortunately,
start something.
the society that we live in, due to social media
Yeah.
and everything else, and organizations like TMZ, those organizations now, younger people may not remember it. They're no different than the National Enquirer.
Yeah.
They're just online,
Well, now we have AI, which makes it even worse.
right?
It
But they're
muddies the
just
mix.
online. I was watching TMZ today because they said we were at a happy hour thing in DC, and some of the people were over there on Friday, and they started singing "Bomb, Bomb, 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 Iran." All of this nonsense. First of all, that's a non-worthy story. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Second of all, I don't believe the person that told them that TMZ. They just wanted to make $100 real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever see the way that they come up with some of these stories,
Oh yeah.
your insider and your whistleblowers are not necessarily the technical definition of insiders
Oh,
and
no.
whistleblowers.
Yeah.
And like
And
I
so
said,
that's
it's
how they
somebody
make
they
their
paid
stories
like
and cite
$100.
their sources.
This guy used to work for the CIA. He was a
Oh.
janitor. We're not going to tell you that.
Right.
But he was.
But if you look him
yeah.
up,
Yeah, he
He
was
was
part
under
of the
that,
CIA.
yeah,
He
under that
swept the
name.
floor on Wednesday, March 8th, though. Damn it.
Well, what happens though, I think, and it's sort of like mass psychology and how, you know, you get something that seems outlandish and then you find out later it was actually true, and you have enough of those things happen, then you start to suspect everything. It's a slippery slope, and I think that
Candace Owens is a perfect
Yeah, so you got-
example.
Yeah, you've got
yeah.
the whole, the difference between a conspiracy and the truth is 6 months, is usually what a lot of people say. Well,
It's
in a
true.
lot of cases, that was the case. We saw it during COVID. A lot of the stuff that we were fed was lies and untruths, and people that were people of science were like, this doesn't make sense. And then they would get deplatformed and shut
Yes.
down and threatened, basically. And then you have people live through stuff like that enough, whatever it is. Wherever you fall on the side of the J6ers, it was like I knew some of them, and they lost everything. They lost their retirements because they had to liquidate them in order to defend themselves. And all they did was walk in the building, right? There were some people that did do some vandalism. They probably deserved to pay a penalty
jail
for it.
time,
But there was a narrative being pushed. And then as you keep seeing this happen over and over again, it's that much easier to believe that we're all lizard people, now. That's like the new one. It's like, I'm just telling you, when they blink, their eyes look like a lizard. And that's what Jim Carrey is. He's now a lizard person.
Apparently so.
We're actually ruled by lizard people.
But that goes,
you start believing stuff that's just like.
That goes back to what we're just saying, because everyone in power promises, for the most part, not everybody, but most common sense people anyway, we're going to get those people and we're going to bring them to oversight. And we're gonna blah blah blah.
Oh yeah,
blah, blah.
they.
But nothing happens. No perp walks. Nobody's still in jail.
Yeah.
Still.
And you either get the proof and nothing happens, or you know what you're coming there for. This is the part that always bugged me. You know what you're there for, and then when they ask for the, we need this proof or this thing or whatever, this is what you came here for. Oh, I don't have that right now. I'll send it to you later.
Yeah.
Who else gets away with that in court? Does anybody else get away with that in court?
Did they ever follow up and send the stuff?
That's
really.
My question. I want to know. I want to know. I want to count. You said you'll send it to them Tuesday. I want to call up Tuesday and be like, did they ever send it to you?
Yeah.
I wish we had the inside scoop on that.
What's your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Tate Reeves, the governor, obviously, of bringing so much business to your neck of the woods?
Well, I think it's a concerted effort, and what you're finding is that in areas of the state where there's infrastructure and manpower and proximity to whatever needed resources are, you're seeing a lot of growth. The XAI investment, the new data center for Grok and everything, XAI, they originally built a data center on President's Island up in the Memphis area. And there was a lot of pushback from the locals. And they're like, we need more space, more processing power. And that's going to obviously require a lot more electricity. And then we had a decommissioned, defunct Enron plant that was just sitting there with cobwebs. He bought that. So he is building his own power plant to supply his power. And he has also come along and making this investment without the state walking up and ponying up hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tax dollars. I mean, that's really kind of the best world scenario
But
where
you
we're
still
not
have the babies crying.
but you still got the babies
of
crying.
course, as always.
And it's the biggest investment in
History, I think.
in Mississippi history.
Yeah.
They
Wow.
said 20 billion, but he signaled it could go up to $100 billion. That is,
wow.
it's just unreal when you think about that. That's what, 15 times, 14 times our state revenues worth of an investment. And that's huge. But that also comes with, and this is where you got the conspiracy side of things, but you've also got the proven side of things. I don't know if you guys have followed any of the data or the documentaries that are done on all these data centers that are going in. We got one going in
Right.
Madison
Right.
County with
Brandon, I
Amazon.
think.
We got another one. I think that's going to be down in Forest Lamar area. I think they're working on that deal. But there are other issues that come along with that. When you have to then provide the power, unlike what Elon's doing, where he's building his own power plant, basically.
Correct.
Then
You have to provide the electricity.
Right.
And
We
you're
have
talking,
to.
yeah, we do. Energy, I think, is going to be building a whole new power plant just to be able to handle the load, because these things are just energy hogs. The big
Yeah.
concern is because in most areas of the country where they do this, they all say, oh no, your rates aren't going to go up. You're not going to spend any more money.
I
You know, if anything, it might go down. And almost with, you give it a few years and your rates are up 15, 20%. And then there's also the noise pollution that if you've got it near any kind of like residential area, and even a pollution issue. And it's like they require mass amounts of water. How much natural resources are they using? And so it's good on one hand,
Right.
But on the other hand, there are consequences for it if it's not well managed.
I can't really
True.
think though of a governor in recent memory though who's brought as much business to the state as Governor
Oh,
Reeves.
yeah. And I think some of that has been, it's like Bill Clinton took all the credit for the boom in the economy and
Yeah.
all the tax receipts. It was the first time we had like a balanced budget for like 5 minutes, I think.
Mhm.
Stock market was booming. Remember the .coms and,
Oh, yeah.
and all of that and telecom business. Since Republicans have taken control in Mississippi, we have done a lot to make Mississippi better. Okay.
Right. I agree.
And
with
we
that.
have created an environment where folks
want to
want to
here.
come to Mississippi. So it's easier
True.
to sell. I mean, go back 20 years trying to convince a multi-billion-dollar company to come locate in Mississippi. Probably not going to
Right.
happen.
No, they were going to go
I
to
mean, shoot,
LA or
even your
somewhere
small
where-
towns are getting bigger.
Yes.
You know,
I mean,
and
they were going to
growing.
go to LA where they're running away from now.
Yeah. Well, we've got the best people. We've got one of the lowest taxes, lowest cost of living in the country. We're phasing out our income tax. So our major competitors like
Right.
Texas and Tennessee and Florida, which seem to be getting all the business. Everybody's leaving from everywhere, New York, California, and they're going to these places, but they don't have our people. We really do. There's a reason why Mississippi is called the hospitality state.
I
You
said
will
that all
not
the time.
meet a better, more friendly. I mean, that's what people remark
And you
on
don't
when they
meet
come.
strangers here, really.
You don't meet strangers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and so that's one thing working in our favor. But the tax structure, the natural resources,
glad you
the
brought
low
that up.
utility costs.
That is probably one of the most questions that I get that I should have done more homework on. When Governor Reeves was it was like 2 years ago, right? When y'all started phasing the state
Yeah.
income tax down.
Well, my first term, this would have been back in like the 2017-ish.
Okay.
We phased out the first bracket.
So
which was
how
the-
does that work and when does it stop?
Yes. So we phased out the 3% bracket. Okay. In Mississippi, you get all your deductions and whatever's left over, you're taxed 3% on the first 5,000, then 4% on the next 5,000, and then 5% on everything else. Okay. That's left over. My first term, we voted to phase out the 3% bracket, which basically gave everybody back $150 more of their money. You weren't paying taxes on
Right.
that. And it phased out over the course of 4 years. So it went away. And then the next term, we went in and phased out the 4% bracket. And it just finished phasing out. If it didn't phase out last year, it'll do this year. When you're doing your taxes, you'll see. Well, last year we passed a bill to phase out, basically to drop the 5% to 4% and to lower the grocery tax from 7%
That's
to
right,
5%. And then the gas tax increased 3 cents a year for 3 years because they
That's
had to have a
right.
dedicated
They
source
had
of
to
funding
have-
for,
right.
if you're taking money away,
Yeah,
you've got to
add it
replace
in
it with
somewhere.
something. But it was still a $1 billion net tax decrease. So it was a tax cut. People were like, well, you raised the gas taxes. It wasn't a tax cut.
But you
It's
lowered
smoke
the
and mirrors."
grocery tax.
But yeah,
so-
and for most people, that will offset
Mhm.
any increase you pay in gas tax.
Yeah.
Now what's going to happen is it's going to phase out at like 0.25% a year for the next 10, 15 years. I think it's 10 years. So yes, you're not going to feel the full relief of it right away, but we've already got rid of the 3% and the 4%. So that's already saving you $350 a year in taxes that you would owe. The 5% went to 4%. So 1% of everything over that, you're saving that starting this next year. You're saving on the grocery taxes coming down. I wish we could have went lower on grocery tax because that's a basic necessity.
Yeah.
And as it phases out, each year you'll keep a little bit more of your money until it goes to zero. And then here's the really cool thing a lot of people don't realize is in states like Texas and Tennessee and Florida, they have always been built around a model where they had no income tax. They
Right.
got the revenues through sales tax. They got their revenues through property tax. Just the difference between where I live in DeSoto County and Tennessee, the house I live in, I would pay probably 3 times the amount of property tax on it if I lived in Shelby County. They're going to get their money somehow.
Yeah.
But as we get rid of the income tax, we still have the same sales tax structure and the same property tax structure. We will actually be a more enticing
Right.
a
State.
state to live in, because when this provides that the locals don't jack up your taxes on the property taxes and the sales taxes don't go up. But if all things held equal, as the income tax phases out, Mississippi will be actually a better place to live than Texas and Florida and Tennessee.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
it's you,
Yum.
and you think
I like
Tate
that.
Reeves brought a lot of business to Mississippi in the last
Right,
term. Wait till we're sitting like that, because if I'm a executive or CEO or business owner, I'm going to go, or even just a retired millionaire, I'm going to go where I know I'm going to have the lowest taxes. We have a lot of famous Mississippians. They don't come back to Mississippi. You know why? Because they're going to pay taxes on all those millions of dollars that they're making every year. And so,
True.
but when people come back, they're going to buy stuff. They're going to feed into the economy. The money's going to turn over a dozen times. It's going to get taxed every time. And so the economics, the a lot of the stuff that we've done over the last decade, 15 years or so, is finally starting to bear fruit. And I think that's what
great.
we've been seeing with all these huge.
And you were
billion-dollar
big
deals.
time. You were on board with that one, right?
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
thought so.
Yeah, I want this state to, because I plan on staying here till I die.
Right.
My family's here. I'm a Mississippi boy. I want this to be the best place to be. I don't want to be so good that all the wackos from everywhere else come and
Right.
join us.
Right.
But,
We
I
want to
don't want
remind
that.
We can let
them
them just keep
how we stay
thinking how
that way.
backwards we are, so
Yeah.
that they'll just stay out. We
Yeah.
don't want them to do to us what they did to
I mean-
Austin.
They need to
and-
go through like a welcome class.
That's right.
That like you want to move here for a certain reason, correct? Okay, this is how you continue it.
Yeah.
Continue on throughout the years. Let's do it this
They may
way.
need to go through some manners too.
Yeah.
True.
Just
We need to
sit-
go through. I
Send
mean,
them over to somebody's grandma's
Go to
house
some-
for a day.
That's
or two.
right. And they got to learn how to
5-day
say y'all.
seminar.
Yeah.
You got to pass for you.
You
can
got
be
to say
arrested.
y'all.
Got to say y'all. You know, a lot of times you'll find that, and I know I have a brother that lives up in Chicago area. I'd go up
Chicago.
and we would go hang out with his friends, and I have another brother. We'd go up there, see him. He lives in Mississippi too, but we go see our older brother, and when we'd hang out with his friends, we're just all like, "What's up, man? Let's go." And they're just like, "Do I know you? Get back!" And that's just the mindset. I think in the South,
Oh, I know.
there is a real different mindset
Oh,
between the
yes.
North and the South, and I just, you say hi to somebody in the parking lot, even if you don't know them, if you're the only two walking by each other. It's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And you don't think anything about it. It isn't like that everywhere else. in the country.
No.
And honestly, there's a totally different mindset with your bigger, especially the big blue cities.
Oh yeah.
Their mindset's just completely
They're
different.
kind of mean muggy now at a certain point.
I mean,
it's like
and they've
stay away
lost,
from me.
lost
Well,
any
yeah.
common sense that they used to have.
Well, they think
somehow.
you want something from them if they don't know you, and that's
Right.
that's
Especially if you
it's
walk up and you're
cultural.
friendly.
A lot of it's cultural.
Yeah.
But if you
That's
come up too
sad.
friendly, they're like, "Do I know you? What do you
Yeah,
want?
what
Are
you trying
want
to sell?
I
I
just
don't
trying
wanna
to say
buy it."
hi."
Yeah. So Kim and I were talking about this a while back with, I can't remember who. Oh, we're talking about the school choice. No, we're not going to talk about that, but we're going to ask you, sessions back, right? Starting tomorrow, which would be Tuesday, March 3rd.
Yep.
What you working on right now?
Well, we've been going since January 6th,
Right.
and we will go until about the first part of April. And throughout the session, you have lots of deadlines.
Sure.
Just for your watchers and listeners. The House will work through their bills while the Senate works through their bills. They got to go through committee, then they got to go to floor, they got to get voted off the floor, and then we send them all our bills and they send us all theirs, and the process starts over again. So the committee process tomorrow will be the deadline for all the Senate bills that have come over to the House to get out of committee. If they don't make it through committee, they're dead.
No.
They'll go on the calendar, and then on Wednesday we will start working through everything that survived committee and voting and to pass it. If it doesn't make it off the floor by next Wednesday, it's dead. If we do anything and amend it and change it up any, then it'll go to what's called conference at the end of session. The bills we can't agree on, where they send us their bill and we add all kinds of amendments to it, and they're like, "That's not our bill anymore." And they, we'll they
Right.
can concur or not concur with our changes, but usually it winds up going to what's called conference, and that's where both chambers will pick some conferees to sit down on that bill and hash out, come up with a compromise, and then they bring that same bill back to both chambers, and we either vote it up or down, or it just dies. And so it's part of the process. So like right now, if it's not still alive, it's dead. And so I've had, and usually there's about 4,000 plus bills that get authored every session. We might pass 300, 400 of them total out of both chambers.
Yeah, because it's a lot.
It's a lot. And a lot of times you'll find some bills are like a conglomeration of like three other bills
wrapped up in one.
Right. So there's a few bills, and I think your listeners might be interested in this one. And let me know if we're running out of time or anything like that.
We're good right now.
I tend to be long-winded. Just say, hey,
no, we're good.
shut up and let us
No,
talk.
I find it
Checking the listeners as we speak. So
Okay.
I find it interesting because we don't talk about it enough, actually.
Yeah.
So
Well, there's a bill out there right now,
Yeah.
and I think your listeners would find this. Well, I had it in front of me. It's a House bill, but the gist of the bill is that it's to put together a study committee on infant mortality. We have one of the highest infant mortality rates in the country. So we're talking about from in utero to 1 year old. And
Okay.
so they wanted to do, it's House Bill 1637, House Bill 1637. It came through the House. I'm on Public Health Committee. I questioned them on it, and I was like, okay, so what kind of data are you taking? And are you including like stillborns and abortions? Because there are still abortions in the state. They're just not elective anymore. Okay. Like if it's a medical
emergency.
Yeah, medical emergency.
it's understandable.
And so I wanted to make sure that data was all included in it, because if you're really wanting to examine infant mortality, you need to look at all the variables and all the factors. Well, I didn't think anything else about it until it made it to the Senate, and they did what's called a strike all. They took all our language out and put their language in, which was pretty similar to our language, but it had a few caveats. And it was that, and I had asked the question in committee about, okay, this privacy rights and not having to disclose anything, is that just for the people whose data they're using to come up with their findings? And that was what I was led to believe. Well, it looks like the bill in its current position, which is now working its way through the Senate, after they amended it in their committee, it basically shields the panel with the health department from ever having to tell you anything that they find. And so let me give you a little backstory. So in Louisiana,
Mhm.
they've done similar things and did studies. They did a study where any child that died before the age of 1, I think it was, they would go back and say, well, when was it vaccinated and what was the vaccination? And they actually found hard data that said that babies that were vaccinated had a 70% greater chance of dying. So when you release that kind of data, big pharma, every medical establishment, they're like, oh, we
They
can't
don't like
have
it.
this. And then they rush to push Now, I'm not saying this is exactly what happened, but why would you want to deny any ability to say,
Information.
well, we want to know exactly what you found and how you came up with that finding.
Right.
We don't want you
any
to
more of
cherry
that
pick what you
COVID
release
BS.
to us. If you're really trying to attack infant mortality
Right.
and see what's wrong in our state, we need to
gotta
know
know.
everything. And so we're going to try to get that amended, but we need folks to call their senators and let them know, hey,
Call your senators. Call
we
your
want
senators.
you to amend this to give full disclosure to whatever they find. And then after thinking about it a while, I was like, well, you know what? The health department already has the ability and right to do this right now. So then why are we even doing this bill? Unless it's purely to grant the secrecy to not have to reveal it.
Right.
And so it's
Oh, my
stuff like that. Sometimes it comes through and gets caught by folks a little too late. And because I had somebody come and say, why did you vote for that? I was like, well, the way it was explained to me, you got bills coming at you fast and furious.
Sure.
But there's stuff like that needs to be caught. And it was not a legislator that's been banging the gong on this, but made us all aware of it. So your listeners, if you track what goes down in the legislature, what kind of bills are coming, you might find something that needs. Killing a bad bill is always better than passing a good bill.
You're right about that.
It has more.
You're
positive
right about that.
Mhm.
And also a complicated, we were talking about this off air, complicated where they stick a whole bunch of stuff in one.
Yes.
Those usually just don't work out because it's really hard first of all, for the public
Right.
to wrap their head around
Mhm.
all that.
It's hard for legislators.
And I was getting ready to say, and it's
Yeah.
hard for the legislators
'Cause
to
you
wrap
guys
their
got
head around all
timelines
that.
and deadlines.
When you're
and-
talking about 700-800 pages
Yeah.
of stuff, that's
Well, you guys said you weren't going to go there, but I'm going to go there talking about education freedom. That bill that came through the House, it moved the needle, but it was like 700 pages long, and
Yeah.
Right.
you didn't get a final version of it until like practically right before you were going to vote on it. So
you can't read.
You
it.
can't
It was
read
a
it. You
big
get- you get-
omnibus bill.
it's an omnibus bill, and it's and it did
Throw
it did
things
so
at it.
many different things that I think it actually became the enemy of itself. Lots of good stuff that the public school system and the
Right.
state wanted. Lots of good stuff that gave parents an option when they didn't have an option and they're trapped in a failing school district. Lots of options like that. But it got to the point to where it
Everything
didn't matter
else-
how you voted on it. You're either voting against a teacher pay raise, you're voting for this, and so it's hard to get a consensus in the body when it's. And so we were also talking about how it'd be nice if we
Yeah.
have single
That's
issue.
what I was going to say.
bills.
It may make it easier to do something like that if we stop throwing everything in the kitchen sink in a bill.
And that's the famous words. Was it Pelosi that said, well, we got to pass it so
Pass
we
it
can
to
find out what's in it. Uh,
That got
60
me.
A 60,000
ago.
page bill? Come on, really? I mean, something's not
I still
right here.
remember. I don't know who did it. It was on some news show, probably Fox News somewhere. But a guy had taken the stack. I mean, the stack of papers was like this tall, and he was a speed reader, like the best speed reader ever. And he was still. I mean, it took him. They were going. And I mean, at the end of the show, he hadn't even gotten halfway down
Yeah.
the stack. He could retain. They were asking him questions about it, and he was able to explain. So he was retaining the information, but he was
Wow.
not even able to make it halfway.
99.9%
No.
of anybody else.
And there's
can
no
do
way
that.
Not me.
that somebody could have
No.
gotten through that.
I tell people I have a photographic memory. I'm just out of film.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything.
Can't
that-
rewind
but-
it.
I need time to digest it, take some notes about my notes.
But that's the
Right.
whole point of why they do that.
That's why they
It's
do it. It's
ridiculous.
easy to
that.
bury billions of dollars in U.S. aid for goofy.
Yeah, you wonder how these things
stupid,
get passed. There you,
you know,
go.
Yeah, because you will see stuff that you couldn't imagine in your mind that we're sending money to something you've never
Oh,
heard of.
Yeah,
I
like
mean-
to study the transgender aspects of frogs in
Yeah.
Bolivia.
Oh, I
It's
know.
just like, what?
All
Yeah.
these
This
programs.
is my
that
tax
got-
dollars? Really? Do I have to pay taxes? I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
it's crazy. We shouldn't have to anyway.
if you're going
I
to spend it
think,
on
but-
stuff like
Right.
that, I just,
I do wish they would reignite Doge again. I think it needs to be Doge 2.0.
Yeah.
I think we need to do it again.
Yeah, well, I'm all for that
I mean,
always.
come on.
Yeah.
All for that always.
Come on.
Now we would be not doing a very good job of hosting a podcast with anybody in either state, local, or national if we didn't discuss a war that's going on.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Oh,
started
yeah,
at like
there is a war, or
3:30,
you
4
know,
o'clock on Friday
starting up.
afternoon or morning, whatever time it was, Eastern time. I think it was the middle of the night, but I think it was broad daylight over there, which was highly unusual because
usually I'll
Trump
go over the cover of
usually
darkness.
does the cover of nighttime. I'm not going to get in a huge argument about who's right and who's wrong. We talked about this off the air. Michael Savage, which I haven't listened to Savage Nation in 20 plus years because he's an old sick guy now and he does one every once in a while. But I kind of agreed with him on this. It's like, it's about 50-50 on people saying, oh, let's go to war. Let's take out this. Let's take out that. Then you got the other 50% who don't like war. And they're saying, well, Trump, for example, J.D. Vance, for example, Rubio, for example, they ran their entire campaign on anti-war.
No new wars.
No new wars.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm kind of caught in the middle on this one and it
Yeah.
sucks. Okay. Because I understand both sides. I really and truly do. But we don't need to be regime changing.
No.
We don't need to be
Mm.
toppling us, 90 million people in Iran.
yeah.
There's 90 million people there. You're foolish if you think you're going to topple that many people.
No.
I don't care what kind of guns, weapons, tanks, you're not going to topple 90 million human beings because they all
Right.
have a mind and a brain of their own.
For almost
Not-
half a century,
That's
you've
right.
had a certain mindset over there, and you may have. It's mostly a lot of the younger generation. They they desire freedom, they desire to not be under an oppressive government. A lot of Iranians have left their country. They fled and gotten.
Sure.
I mean, you've seen some of the people in different cities around the world
Yeah.
parading and like, yay, finally. But don't mistake that for national consensus in Iran. That's you can fall victim to whoever's pushing the narrative. I mean, you have people that are ecstatic about the death of the
course.
Shah, but you
Then
have
you have all
those
these
that
other
are like
people.
they're just as vested or they are devout in their belief system. You're not changing that. So it's a house divided over there. And I saw a figure that said 1 in 4 Americans were for it, but like you said, the other one was sort of half of MAGA, half of the Republicans
Right.
are for or against. It's a slippery slope.
Very.
If we want to liberate every oppressed people, then we need to go to North Korea. What's next? We need to go to let's make a long laundry list. But
Cuba.
the big and Trump has made some overtures about Cuba now. So
That's
it's
why I
almost
just brought it up.
what's happening is you got, okay, well, we're going to take Alberta and we're going to take Venezuela and Cuba and Greenland, and now we're going to go bomb Iran. What's going to happen, I think, is we're already starting to look imperialistic as a nation, and a lot of people say, well, he's got a plan, and this is the reason. And I see both sides. I like to watch both sides, and like, this is why it's terrible, and this is why it's so wonderful. And the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. Most of the time.
Yeah.
But
I just don't think Trump's an evil person, but I do think that
Well, he has people surrounding him.
a lot of influence around him
Yes.
in his ear 24 hours,
And-
7 days a week. And all of those people are not looking out for his best interest.
some of that
obviously.
influence is evil, I think.
That's
I'll
right.
give you a good example.
Lindsey Graham.
When the whole AI, he did an executive order that states could have no say over regulating the advancement of AI. Okay. That is terrible. It's also unconstitutional. I mean, it goes against the 10th
Well,
Amendment
states' rights.
and states' rights. And so the main guy that does all of his consulting, who is his consultant on all those matters and urged him to do it, is a venture capitalist, and all of his stuff is venture capital in AI. So of course he doesn't want there to be any check.
Right.
And so that's a good example of somebody, it's like, well, we don't want to put any kind of, guardrails or seatbelts on the development of AI because we want to win the AI race. Well, I understand that logic, but to strip states from the rights to be able to regulate and say, you know what? No, you can't take pictures of your second grader student and make kiddie porn with it using
Right.
AI. You can't take and make fake videos that disparage or hurt people, especially during a campaign that wasn't them. There needs to be some guardrails. There has to be. If
I
there
definitely
isn't
agree with
and goes
AI, 'cause
unchecked,
AI,
we're in trouble. But that's a good example of, having counsel from probably somebody that is already co-opted and doesn't
Sure.
have, the mindset of the American people's best interest at heart. He's out there. He's a venture
Look.
capitalist, and so there's those kind of folks, and
I mean,
hopefully he can filter through some of that.
I
But
know because look, everybody already knows from listening to me, and they already know from listening to Kim. I don't believe Benjamin Netanyahu. He's FOS
Right.
without saying the words.
Yeah.
He's been pitching the same old
Since the late
the 80s. The nukes are coming next week. The nukes are coming. Now, I'm not saying though that the CIA has not been over there looking at information that I've never seen before.
right.
And I'm not saying I'm smarter than them, but I am saying that enough is enough with Benjamin. Okay. It doesn't have anything. I'm not dogging out Christianity or the Jews or any
Yeah.
religion
Right.
or the Israeli
Or
people
any-
themselves.
or Israeli
No,
people,
not at all.
even if they don't believe in anything. it's not
Right.
my business.
Well,
the
what should
government,
get
on the other hand,
But
is
Benjamin Netanyahu is, all you have to do is go back and research. You don't have to believe me, her, you, or anybody else. Just you can see the sound bites. You can read
Yeah.
the stories. You can see his comments. He speaks fluent English. For the most part, you can understand every word he says. So It's been around forever. I'm not saying that Trump is inside of his socks wearing his shoes close to him, but we're all MAGA people are all nervous, of course.
Well, of
We're
course,
nervous.
and one of the things that I think gives a lot of Americans pause is you can criticize President Trump, President Biden,
Or
President
whoever.
You can trash your governor, your government. You can do whatever you want. You have that freedom.
Absolutely.
You have, it's guaranteed. It's enshrined in the Bill of Rights. But you can't say anything evil about Netanyahu without there being repercussions. And that
Right.
should scare people when you have more freedom to criticize your own government than another government. Right after October 7th, I think that was when,
Yeah.
there was a huge rush of, support and patriotism for Israel and their right to defend themselves and bomb Gaza.
Yeah.
But you know what happened right after that? Within a few months, the very next session, all across the country, we passed bills, and I voted for it. It's like, yeah, solidarity support when people are being attacked, because you start having visions of 9/11 and all that.
Right.
That basically made it almost criminal for you to just choose not to do business with them. Why do we have to pass bills like that in our country? We don't do
Well,
it
we're
for
freedom for we have
states
freedom
and-
for a reason.
I know it. It was what I'm saying is there are things that are going on that you don't. It's not anti-Semitic to say something doesn't smell right here, and it's not right to ever make broad generalizations. It's like
No.
saying all Latinos are this, or all black people are this,
No.
or all white people are this, or
Because
all
people
Jesus-
are different.
yeah,
no matter
and
what.
Individuals.
we're
No
all
matter
the
what.
same at heart, but there are some people that
They're just
that
different.
ruin it for everybody,
Yeah.
and so I think that we've got to be careful of the narratives that we digest. Go in with your eyes wide open, question things, do your research. Don't just take it because that sounds good, so I'll believe it.
Or one of your favorite podcasters
Yeah.
or radio hosts or whatever. Just because they say it doesn't necessarily mean that
That
you shouldn't go research
Right.
behind
that
them.
has literally been one of the biggest things that I've said since I started the show when it was SK Podcast. Is I'm like, look, I can, because I have a full-time job. This is not. I mean, I do this just for you guys. I really don't get any money back from this. So I have limited time to do my research, but I want to get out what I can get out. So I always say, look, I'm saying from what I know, from what I see, and my thoughts and opinions on it. It's your job to do your research on it. Come tell me if I'm wrong, because let's all learn together, and let's have a debate, things
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah.
Do your research. You've got to do your research.
And I always
Only
tell
way to
people,
know.
I'm like, I'm never going to lie to you on purpose.
Yeah,
Right.
But if
no, neither will I.
If I mess something up, okay,
Yeah.
then I'll
Let me
apologize
know.
for it.
I'm humble enough that I
Yeah.
will say I was wrong,
Right. Exactly.
and thanks for correcting me.
Exactly.
But
We're all human.
one of the things that I've always tried to do in the legislature is, there's a lot of people and they all vote different ways. And there was this one gentleman, there's a friend of mine, he's no longer serving, but he voted no on everything. I mean, if there wasn't a red mark by his name, you're like, oh wow, he voted yes. And and I would go to him and I'd say, hey, why did you vote no on that? He'd say, well, because it expands government this way and does this, that. And it's like, okay, well, cool. Okay, you got a reason for it. Then I go to somebody else that vote yes on something that's terrible, and I'd say, why did you vote for that? It's like, I don't know, the speaker voted that way, so I just follow the speaker.
Woo.
I want, I'm going to try to think for myself.
Exactly.
And that's what the
Exactly.
American people need to do. Don't just take the path of least resistance and digest the easiest, best sounding soundbite, because I'm telling you, it's God's honest truth that most of what we get is a constructed narrative. And I know it sounds very conspiratorial.
Oh no, but it's
but-
true.
But I've been a youth
Yeah.
pastor for 20 years, and I had a young man and grew up through my youth program. His dad was a general, top general in like Ecuador, one of those places where they were having a civil war, and they would go and blow up like national monuments to get and blame it on the guerrillas and
Narrative.
to
Wow.
drive a narrative. Well, he got shot up, and then they
Wow.
fled here for amnesty because he was a wanted man over there when things started to shift. But the reality is that kind of stuff happens all the time. False flags. When people want to drive a narrative because they have something to gain from it, either they can't hold on to power, or they hold on to votes, or they drive your, think about climate change. They said it was, I saw a figure of how many trillions of dollars we have spent. And now they're like, well, okay, it's not really solid science like we've been saying. And it's
Of course it was.
Yeah.
you create the problem and you sell the solution, right?
Yeah.
And it works the
Exactly.
same way when you're feeding a narrative. You create the narrative, you sell them the answer, which is whatever you want them to do or how to respond.
And the disappointing thing to me that's going on right now, the disappointing thing is, and it's going to cause this country to lose the midterms, is the people on the so-called right who have split with the people on the right. So, and that's all due to narratives. Some of them are creating
Right.
it for money and clicks and making a living. Some of them are not. Some of them are just saying, like, I don't really believe in my heart that Tucker Carlson is doing all this for money. But I do believe in my heart that some of the rest of them are, in fact, doing
Right.
it for money.
Yeah.
If
Right.
you see what I'm saying.
No, I see what you're saying.
Like Nick Fuentes, not a fan.
Yeah.
I feel like
hadn't
he's-
been a fan for a while.
I feel like he's literally doing it for money.
It's like the whole shock jock,
Yeah.
Right,
You,
it sure
you
is.
sometimes you say the most outlandish thing because it gets
Right,
you clicks. or whatever.
exactly. And
But-
and again, that's for attention,
Yeah.
and for money in his case.
And I think you're right about the midterms. I think there's already been bad harbingers with some races that have already taken place over the last year.
It is.
I think that
We
depending,
better
on,
tighten
depending
up.
on how this plays out, as far as like if this turns into a deeper and wider conflict, which it has the real potential to do that.
Of course,
If Americans start being
and
sent home
every
in body
war
bags,
does.
Yeah, every war does.
True. Yeah.
and war's big business, and sometimes
know.
I think that drives some of it too. But depending on how that plays out, it could have dire consequences for the next 2 years of Trump's term. And the old verse in the Bible that says, a house divided can't stand. I think Abraham Lincoln said something similar to that, right?
Really true.
You've got something that's happening within the folks that came over to the right, to the Republican Party, to MAGA, to whatever you want to label it.
Right, right.
You had a lot of independent voters. Independent voters make up the biggest block
I was
in the
about to
country, in the state, and they're going to go with the person and with what their ideology is. And they're like, yeah, this other guy is just horrible. He's been terrible for 4 years. I'm willing to try this new guy. But they try him under the guise of no new wars and no new whatever. And then all of a sudden they're getting everything the opposite now that they were told. Well, how do you think they're going to vote the next go around? They're going to like, well, this guy lied to me just like all the other ones before me. And there may be a justification or a reason for doing that, but it is going to have a very real impact. And the other thing you don't want to do, you don't want to go after the people that are the most right. The ones that are like, I defend the Constitution. I don't care who it is. I'm not
Right.
bought and sold by anybody. And then you go after that person and call them a traitor and attack them. Now you've just alienated all the other people that think like those people. And so it's very
It's
dangerous. It's a
getting
dangerous
very,
game that's being
Very
played,
tricky game
and it's going
right
to be
now.
it's going to be very, very tricky to see how it plays out. And a
And
lot of
then-
it's going to have to do with how this all plays out over the next.
And another obstacle that
6
always
months.
seems to come up, especially because it's midterms and it's not a presidential election,
People
is
won't vote.
go out and vote,
Numbers.
please.
Yes.
Numbers.
Yes.
Go out and vote. It's the same time in November that it is during the presidential election. I believe it's November 3rd.
Yeah.
Please go out and vote because that
Yes.
is one of the biggest things. Voter turnout is
It's-
so low.
It's very low.
Now,
So-
I don't know how you feel about the SAVE Act, but I do agree with that.
The what?
The SAVE Act.
Oh, the SAVE Act. Yeah.
I don't see why you shouldn't need
ID.
to vote.
Imagine that. You can't
we need
you
ID.
can't buy
for-
booze without it.
We
But
need
we're going to let you
ID
determine the fate of the country.
forever.
Yeah. I
We
don't.
need ID for everything.
It is.
And lame
It's-
excuses like Bernie Sanders. Oh, I don't know where my birth certificate is. Well, you probably don't because you're 105.
Well,
But you can find one and
But-
you can get one.
but guess what? He probably has a passport. He travels out of the
That's
country.
exactly.
He's probably got a real ID like
Yeah,
everybody
of course
else.
he does.
So it's a. But see that once again, that's a narrative. If you look at it, it's
Narrative.
like, The
There.
big one now is like, it's terrible because women will be oppressed because their last name changed, and now you're going to make them, hold them to a different standard. It's like, what? I mean, it is a narrative that on the surface, if you don't think for yourself, like what we're talking about,
Right. And a
you're
lot
like,
of them
well,
don't.
hey, I think that makes sense. No, it doesn't. It's the stuff that we require you to have an ID for. You can't do anything in this world without an ID.
I don't know of anything.
Well, we think you should be able to vote without one.
Yeah, the whole
And they say
arguments.
that women are going to be suppressed.
Okay, as a woman, as a formerly married woman, I haven't had any issues because when I get married, number one, you cannot legally change your birth certificate. Just
Yeah.
FYI, you never change. You don't touch your birth certificate. That's
Right.
the information when you were born. What you do is you go get your name change at the clerk's office, and you change it out, and then you go get your ID with those documents. You get your ID that has your new name on it, and guess what? You have no issues. at
Wow, that
And
was
guess
so
what?
hard,
Wow.
You
so
register-
oppressive.
And guess what? You register at the DMV to
Yes.
vote also.
I know.
Yes, you can. It's
It's-
pretty easy.
It's
And I mean, it's really probably cost total $30.
right.
It's not like it's like $100 or anything
No.
like that. And they keep saying you need your passport and all this stuff. I'll be honest with you, I'm not getting a passport to vote.
No,
I don't have a passport because I've never had to go out of the country. And I can promise you, when I go vote in November, they're not going to ask for a passport
Well, because you have an ID.
you're-
because I have an
yeah,
ID.
The
They're just
passport
giving
is
you
just
the
another
other
form of
forms
ID.
that
Right.
They
That's-
accept.
I mean, that's
I mean, they'll accept these photo
Right.
IDs. It's a
Yeah.
government issue ID. There's just other forms that they accept.
And-
Doesn't mean you have to
And
have it.
now everybody has this real ID thing.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
know every single
Pretty
thing
easy.
about
Just
me.
do
Probably
it.
too much.
Too much. I promise you, it's too much.
Yeah.
I can promise you, because of our phones, they know
Oh,
way more
oh.
about us than we.
Yeah, we know.
we
that.
want to know.
That's a whole nother rabbit hole. We could do a
Yeah.
whole show on that.
We
I
could do a
got
whole
some
show.
stories there.
What'd you want to touch base with him on before we get out of here?
Touch base with them.
On did you have? Yeah, I know you were looking at a question over
Yeah.
there. So
I think I heard you co-authored a bill in 2018, the 15-week abortion ban that SCOTUS used to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
that must be Blake.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Our Mr. Producer Man.
The that's a good example of don't not do something just because people say it didn't. There's no chance of it passing.
Right.
And that was,
Exactly.
believe it or not, that
Stand
was
up and be a man, or just be a person.
the right thing is always the right thing. It doesn't matter whether you're
you
going
win
to
or not.
you do the right thing
That is exactly
always,
right.
even if it means you're going to fail at something, you still do the right thing. And that's one of those things where if you want to talk about seeing God's hand in something, where we did what we could do in the House and we passed it out, and then it went to the Senate, and the Senate did what they could do and they passed it out, and it went to the governor, and the governor did what he could do and he signed it into law. And just like we all predicted, there was a lawsuit. There was a judge that put a stay on it. But guess what? Then the ADF, the Alliance Defending Freedom, came in. They did what they could do, and they defended it up to
Oh,
the
yeah.
federal court, and it passed.
Supreme.
And guess what? Then they took it up to the Supreme Court, and then the Attorney General came in, and she got some lawyers and sent them out there, and they did what they could do. And then you had Trump. He was
Yeah.
able to. He did what he could do. He put some good Supreme Court justices on
That's right.
that were pro-life, and then the Supreme Court justices that were being threatened, and people were
Trying
doing
to-
all kinds
yeah.
of illegal stuff, showing up at their house and
Ooh,
picketing.
yes.
They did what they could do, and everybody did the part that they could, and the
That's
part
right.
that they played. It wasn't any one person. It was a collective of people doing the right thing, regardless of what the potential outcome may or may not be. And God was able to use that to do something great and save
Right.
babies and save lives. And
That's
so
awesome.
my encouragement to any of your listeners or viewers is never shy away from doing the right thing, even if you think it's not going to get you the result that you hope, because it's amazing what can happen. Because guess what? When big things happen, even when people didn't think it was going to happen, I mean, it's guaranteed if you don't do anything, right?
Exactly.
Failure is guaranteed
Yeah.
if you don't do anything. So do the right
You're
thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Miss
I love that.
100%.
You will fail 100% of the time you don't try.
Yes.
right.
So
exactly.
don't not try because
I
you're
love
afraid you're
that.
going to fail.
And I tell people that all the time, especially younger people, but it doesn't have to be younger people. It could
Right.
be any age,
Anybody.
but also you can go run for office
Yes. Yes.
in your local area. If you don't see something that, if you think
No.
things are bad, then they probably are.
Yeah.
So you go in there. Now, maybe you win, maybe you don't, but don't not try.
Don't not try. And that was
Yeah.
running for U.S. Senate. I had real beef with
I
where we
remember.
were, and we talked about that on your show.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I know it's a David and Goliath scenario. Yeah, I know that the probability is not going to happen. He spent $6.5 million in a primary in Mississippi. That should tell you something right there.
Yeah.
There was no way I was outspent 80-1. There was no way I was ever going to be able to win, but it was the right thing to do because I didn't want one day to look back and go, when everything's burning down, and be like, well,
I didn't.
at least
know.
I say I didn't do anything. Well, at least I tried,
We're
And-
not big fans of him anyway.
Oh,
Well,
I have some videos breaking down a few things that I don't like about him. So
But-
you can go check that out on my TikTok.
but you're
on
absolutely
SK.
right. If you see something you don't like, you can be the voice that changes it, or find somebody else that you can get
Right,
behind
right.
and champion.
Exactly.
There's
I
no
was
reason
gonna say
to
that too.
not.
Maybe you have health
Because that's
issues.
exactly what we try to
Maybe
say.
you
Yes.
have health issues. Maybe you can't.
And
physic-
voting is one of those ways.
Right.
That's why
Oh,
it's so
yeah,
important
it's
to
huge.
vote.
And
Yeah.
maybe you can't physically go run for something. Find somebody else and
Make phone calls for
Right.
them.
make phone calls for them.
yeah.
Whatever.
If
Get on the computer,
give 'em some
share,
money. Yeah, whatever.
You know, share stories and you know,
Because we would, it's naive to think that you can just go out and win an election without
Yeah.
any money, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it is the
It's
truth.
the truth. And
Um,
well, you do because there's many things that you need.
yeah,
You know,
signs,
it's not
for
going to just be that.
example, if you,
you know.
stuff like that.
here's the thing, though, and I think your viewers and listeners, this is something they should realize. It is doable. I know people that have won representative races, Senate races, because they went and knocked doors. How bad do you want it? That doesn't cost money. Going knocking doors, meeting people, doing that. It's when you get to a statewide or a district wide, like a congressional
obviously,
district,
or obviously a national.
or national, anything that's national or federal. It's impossible
Right.
to win that without money. And usually what happens is once you get there, you're entrenched. The money just starts flowing. It's almost impossible to beat them without money. But at the state level, which is really has the government that's closest to you, has the greatest effect on you.
Yes.
When
this is
when
true.
you got
Thank you.
potholes in front of your house and the police don't show up and the garbage isn't picked up,
You don't call Trump.
you don't
Yeah.
call Trump. You feel that
Good
more
luck.
than
Right.
something that
You-
goes on
you
in
feel that,
Jackson
right,
and the dome.
right.
But even at the state level, you can have a big impact, even at the national level, by doing something at the state, because the state really is the last line of defense for your freedom and liberty. And so that is accessible to every single person in Mississippi if you're willing to work hard enough for it. And if you're passionate about something and you're not being serviced and you're not being represented well, consider running.
I agree with that totally.
Yeah.
And I know 100% because I met you for this reason that you're all about term limits.
So I got a little bit of a story on that though. Okay, so my cousin and I, when we started this off, we actually helped a person running against Benny Thompson,
Mhm.
Brian Flowers. Brian Flowers came the closest, neck and neck with Benny to beating Benny Thompson. And one of the biggest things, and this is another issue that I have, and I think the SAVE Act is honestly going to help with this because it's not just the people coming in to vote, it's the oversight of the people working in the poll centers
Yeah.
and things like that. Because one of our biggest issues when we went back to recount, because it was so close, we qualified for a recount. And, our friend Taylor took videos. Number one, unsealed boxes.
Yeah.
Biggest thing that happened, one of the, I think she was a city clerk. I can't remember her title, but she was the one that basically was in charge of bringing all the stuff from collecting everything from the polling centers and bringing it to the courthouse. She already had an ankle bracelet, already had fraud charges. She took the thumb drives back home
Yes, I read
and then
that.
brought them there. But then guess what was done about it?
Nothing. You can't make this stuff up, but it is
Nothing.
true. And
And
you're
it's
absolutely
not
right.
just
Just
true in
like-
Mississippi either.
If he's gonna win, to be honest with you,
Oh, we
Fair
are
is
one of
fair.
the
If
we are
he's
one of the
gonna
more
win-
secure election
Right,
states
right,
in the
right.
country. So when people tell you there is no election fraud, they're lying to you.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
they're lying. They're
But
lying.
I'll tell you this, the same thing I tell everybody. It's like, we always talk about, especially if you're involved in either party and you're like, well, we need poll watchers to make sure nobody's cheating. You know what? Be a poll worker. Get paid. Number one, we're always looking for poll
Yeah.
workers around the state,
Right.
and you can make sure it's done right.
That's true.
The best way to make sure it's done right is
True.
to do it yourself. And so I would
You'll be
encourage
the one checking the
Right.
Yes.
And
eyes.
when we have more
you'll be the
people
one
that
that's
are-
not taking the
wanting it
thumb
fair.
drive home with you.
Right.
You're making sure it gets where it needs to go.
because that's another thing that you hear about too. You have poll watchers where they're not allowed to do certain.
Yeah.
They're said that they're not allowed to do certain things, and if you're the poll worker and we've got enough fair people, because honestly, if a Democrat or whatever, not on my side, gonna win, if it's fair and the votes are counted and the Democrat won, okay, the people have spoken.
Then our system worked.
Yes.
I would rather the system work
Yeah, I think we all would, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you
Yeah.
fall on.
because then
And-
you
and
don't
look-
know who's paying for the votes. I mean, I'm just saying.
And there are places in the state, I promise you, I ran into some of them and
Oh, yeah.
had election commissioners, former election commissioners, come up and tell me that they resigned their post because it was that bad in their area. They did not want their name attached to any election because you could go pay
Mhm.
daddy,
Mhm.
boss hog, whoever, a certain amount of money, he guarantee you got elected.
Yep.
That shouldn't be happening anywhere. But
But unfortunately, it
but
does.
unfortunately it does. And if
That
you
was the
can't be a
term I was
poll,
trying to
if you
remember,
can't be a
election
poll
commissioner.
worker, I'm not
Thank you.
poo-pooing being a poll watcher. It's good to go if you can get with your party and spend a few hours watching and taking shifts. But I still tell people they need good, solid
Go
people
work
to work,
and you get paid.
and get
Mhm.
paid and
Right.
make sure it's done
Right.
fair and right.
Exactly.
I mean, I agree
Love
with
that.
that 100%. What
So-
are no,
Okay, go ahead.
if you got a question.
So I wanted to bring up one lighter side before we left. I
go
didn't know
for
if anybody knew this, but Mr. Eubanks over here has a musical side.
Oh,
I did know
I
that.
got to say this.
so does Mr. Darrell over
Yeah.
here too.
That's right. Oh, yeah, this is true. I mean, hey, I have a family full of musicians. I mean, we got a whole musical group over here. I think we should start
Yeah.
something. But I'm just saying, the coolest thing, and I really want to know about this. So when I actually went on, if you see the thumbnail, it's always done by me. You're welcome. But when I went to your Facebook page, I saw that there was a band. What is this, like, representatives?
So yeah, we
or
have a house band. And
house band. There we go.
for years, I lead the Capital Prayer Group on Tuesday mornings. Anybody that's listening out there, you want to come? It's Tuesday mornings at 8:30 a.m. in room 204 at the Capitol building. You're welcome to come. We do a little 30-minute, 8:30 to 9 o'clock, do a devotion, a little prayer time. But I took it over after Andy Gibson got appointed commissioner. And I have ever since wanted to do like just a worship session
Right.
as that study.
A house
Wow.
band.
Yeah. And so
That's
it
awesome.
never would work out. And then last year, I knew enough guys. This guy played guitar and this guy played bass. And that was like, hey, forming a band. We're going to call it the house band. It's going to be all house
I
members.
love that.
And we got down to the point where we needed a drummer. We had every other position filled, right?
Mhm.
We could, I asked everybody in the
Drummers are
chamber. I even
always
went over to
hard.
the Senate trying to find a drummer in the Senate. Couldn't find one. And Representative Lee Yancey said, you know what? I think Gerard Gibbert plays drums. And I was like,
Oh,
really?
yeah.
I know Gerard. So I
didn't-
called
does
Gerard up.
Gerard really play drums?
He's our drummer.
I didn't know.
And we
that.
made him an honorary house member just because he's always up at the Capitol and he's always having house
Yeah, yeah,
members on
yeah.
the show.
There you
He's
go.
on Super Talk. And he said, is this for real? I haven't played drums since I was in high school. I'm gonna
I
have to
didn't
go.
even know
I'm
he
gonna have
was
to
a
go
drummer.
buy. I'm gonna have to go buy
Wow.
a set of drums. I'm not gonna do that if this isn't legit. And I was like, no, it's legit. So we've had a couple shows out and played in some places, and I think we got a few more places.
I
we're gonna be
do
playing this
hear
year.
on the
That was
streets
just-
that, with the ear weight on the streets.
I know. I think the public needs to be.
Gerard-
Yeah,
We're-
public
Gerard
needs
may
to
be
listen
running
to
for
this. I
governor.
really.
Well, I
Somebody
can
needs to
either
take a video
confirm or
or
deny,
something.
but I would say that's probably a fair
Gerard
rumor.
may be running for governor.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I think
okay.
everybody's running for governor. Really, I mean, I could name 10
I
people
can
that I
name-
have got
can
confirmation
name
for running.
probably at least 7 right now.
You
Wow.
guys ought to consider running. I mean,
Wow. No.
that's the ongoing
What, a double
joke.
This is-
governor?
That's right. Yes.
A double governor.
Co-governors.
Co-governor.
No,
Yes.
I mean,
I like
we
that.
obviously know Andy.
Yeah.
Great guy, by the way.
Yep.
Love Andy.
I
Gibson.
served with Andy.
Shad White, even though he's never confirmed
Yep.
or denied.
Lynn Fitch,
Lynn Finch,
Trent Kelly,
Trent
Uh-huh.
Kelly, and
Baby
Gerard.
Gerard. There's a couple more. Philip Gunn.
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
I forgot
I
I
Philip
didn't know
Gunn.
that.
Now-
I don't know
must
if
have
Duff
missed
is going to run
now
or not.
after Philip Gunn, oh yeah, Tommy Duff. I went to his deal he had a while back. I don't even know what it was for, but I was there.
Right.
Smart guy, business guy.
Oh yeah.
Definitely got a budget behind him.
Yeah, he's got money. You went there because you was hoping he was giving out $20 bills,
Well,
right?
I mean, I would have taken one. I'll always
I would have
take-
went if I
I
known
mean,
that.
Yeah, I
I'll
will.
take a
Let me know where it's at
I'll always
next
take
time.
a $20 bill.
Yeah.
Hook us up.
I like lately we've been, and they're nonpartisan, so you don't have to do all the finagling
Right.
with judges,
Mhm.
because judges are so important especially since Trump came into office, and it just happened across the whole country, not just in DC. But these rogue judges are causing a lot of what's going on in this country.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ruling by the bench, which is what
ruling
is
from the
never
bench.
supposed to be.
No.
It's not how
So
the
we-
Constitution set it
And I
up.
know a
so.
lot of people running for judges, whether it be circuit, county, or chancery
Mhm.
right now for Rankin, Madison. Sometimes it's both counties. Sometimes, they split
Another
it
reason
up.
to show up in a week and a half, or was it next Tuesday?
That's
yeah,
right.
that's what I was going to say.
That's right.
exactly what you were going to say. It's next.
Well, no, wait,
Tuesday.
they don't have to run during the primary because it's nonpartisan, right?
Yeah, they don't. They
No,
don't.
theirs is not until November.
Theirs is
3rd.
not
They'll
till
be in November. That's
3rd.
right. That's right.
But I mean, that does
Still
bring
another
up a
reason
good
to show
point,
up.
though.
Yeah.
The primary is it
It's-
next week?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
next week.
I
It's
think the-
nonpartisan.
right.
So
The 10th, right? Is it the 10th?
learn your folks
Right.
that are
Secretary
running.
of State
get to know them.
website. You can find
can
your
go on.
ballot.
Hey, we live in the day and age of Google and AI. You want to know about any one of
So
those
easy.
judge candidates? All you got to do is ask, and
Yeah.
there's no excuse.
So easy.
Absolutely no excuse.
None, zero.
So I do have a question. Will you be running again
For something.
for something? Okay. So
I'm still praying about that one. I'm like, Lord, where do you want me? What do you want me to
I was
do?
just curious. I was just.
I'm not running
curious.
for governor. I will tell you that.
Okay.
Not running for governor.
What about
you just don't-
lieutenant? What about lieutenant?
Lieutenant.
governor?
There we go. We need to get.
No,
this
not
one.
running for lieutenant governor either.
Hey, you
But
never
What's
know.
going to happen to Delbert?
Oh, that was somebody else you left out of the running for governor. Yeah. So Delbert.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I
Too many.
I
just
have
saying.
my theory. Andy was the first to come out. And there is some strategy in that, because you get your name out there, you're kind of head of the pack, you start creating some buzz, but there are other players that are waiting to see who
Who?
exactly gets in,
Yeah.
whether they make it final or not. Some of that has to do with, okay, they've already got $3 million in their campaign war chest, or hey, they've already got whatever. If they don't run, I got a better chance of beating this guy. If they run, I don't have a good chance of beating that person. There's a lot of that going on. That's why people are still kind of keeping
Wait.
their cards close to their chest.
Mhm.
Um,
I mean, I can see that.
but
can see
I don't know. I mean, I think you can look at the last race between Chris McDaniel and Delbert Hosemann, and he lost some areas. He lost some areas up north. He lost Tate County and DeSoto County, and lost some other areas down Jones County.
We still don't know what Chris is going to do.
I don't think he's going to do
He
anything.
keeps appearing now again on
I know.
social media.
I don't know that he's going to run for anything, but I'm just saying that there are some cracks in that, and I don't know. Now, I guess if he was able to funnel some money to fix some infrastructure needs in those areas, that might win him some favor. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of people running, and then there's a lot of dynamics that a lot of people don't realize. Like, Andy and Shad will both kind of pull from some of the same pool. So does Shad run for lieutenant governor? Because
Right.
there's some rumors that he may do that. But I have heard that if Delbert gets in the race, Shad's definitely going to run for governor. Well, if Delbert decides not to run, maybe Shad runs against Michael Watson for lieutenant governor. I don't know.
Hmm.
So I think
That's gonna
everybody's
be
just keeping their
interesting.
cards close to their chest.
I read
And you heard it
today-
here first, right? So
Yeah.
I'm probably just
Exactly. Breaking
I'm
it
probably
right here
letting
live.
out little tidbits I shouldn't. But
Well, I read today on regular media, for what it's worth, that our secretary is not seeking to run next
No.
time.
No,
Secretary of State's not going to run for lieutenant governor.
No, he's not.
not going to run for Secretary of
Right.
State.
No, he's definitely not. He's going to run for
Yeah.
for lieutenant governor.
Yeah, that's,
So, but there's
So
some
that
rumor that
kinda-
Briggs Hobson's going to run for it too. If Shad jumps in there, if Chris McDaniel runs for anything, it would probably, I think, be lieutenant governor again. The one thing that he has the ability to do usually is doesn't matter what he runs for, he can pull 40%. And that's a pretty big chunk.
Mhm.
And so if he decides, and I think he's doing the same thing, he's kind of sticking his toe in the water just to see if he's got any support.
what does that leave you to be?
What's that?
What does that leave you to be running against Vance and Rubio? Or,
No, I'm just going to keep fighting a good fight wherever God puts me. And if it's back in the house, that's where I'll fight it. But
So, where do our viewers keep up with you, and where and when you're going to run?
well, send me follow me on Facebook. Go to Dan Eubanks for Mississippi and like it, and then you'll get. Lately, I have not been real religious about posting regularly. After a while, it gets just. Here's the thing. It's kind
I
of
can
hard.
do it. You're preaching
Politicians,
to the choir.
they're always like self-promotion. To me, it just feels disingenuous. And it's like, I hate it. My wife's like, you got to post at least 3 times a day, get your algorithms up, or nobody's ever going to see
I know
anything.
I know
That's
your
true.
wife.
And I'm just like,
I can
Hey,
hear
there's
her.
apps for that. I'm just saying there are apps for
and
that.
I
We can
I
hook
was
you
really
up.
good the first 8 years, my first 2 terms. I have a website. I
You are
post
all over it.
every week. I'd post a blog, and I was doing all of that. I don't know if
It
anybody
does
even
get
read it.
tiring to do it by yourself,
It-
and I hate to say it, but you can get AI to do it.
Yes, and I've got to
Like,
get into the 21st century and get AI to start working with me here, because
It's all right. See, you can use AI for good. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing.
text me though. I'll answer your text. I mean,
There you go.
I'm serious.
Text him.
You want to know what's up?
I
Send me a
texted him
text.
today, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, sure, I'll
I'm
come
so
on by."
glad you came on. This
It
was
was
great.
like, yeah,
This
man,
was
come on.
great.
I was
Yeah.
like, I obviously don't have any. I don't have anything to do with it.
It's
I
like,
had something to do at 6, but I'll be late to that, so it's all
okay.
right.
well, we're getting ready to let you go anyway.
Yes.
We appreciate you hanging out with us.
appreciate
Yes,
it.
we had a lot of people pipe in. And I think I got the majority of their questions out there. So,
and people will watch this later, and I'll share
Yeah,
it.
just
I'll share it with you so you can actually share it on your Facebook.
there you go.
Well,
Something else to
I've got.
I
post.
Yeah,
think
please
you can
do.
do
There you
that.
I will
go.
do
Something
that.
else to post.
And and anybody that's out there listening or watching, if you have a question, you don't have to be in my district. I help anybody that calls me,
There
and
you go.
I have people from around the state that I met when I was on the Senate race. They call me like, my guy will never call me back. So can you help me?
He says,
I'm
I
here.
know the guy.
I'm here to be your
You are
servant.
always
There you
like
and
that.
and so
These are the people
now
we
I may not
need
get back to
stay in
you
office.
for a few days, but I will always get back to you. And my cell phone number is on the Facebook page. Just go to Dan Eubanks for Mississippi, like it, and you can communicate with me through Messenger. Shoot me a text message. Text message is probably the best way to go, because I'll get that and respond sooner.
Yeah, he does
definitely see
respond.
it.
sooner
Don't
all the
email
time.
me.
No,
Dude, I've got 7
Me
email
too.
accounts and about 400,000 emails. And
here's
But-
right here 45,000.
I'm not even going to
unread.
read my
Yeah.
number of unread. I'm not. It's
mine's
just ungodly.
45,000 and something. So
if you do email me and you really want me to see it, say, hey, I emailed you.
Yeah.
And tell me which email you
There you
emailed me
go.
to.
text you
Text me.
to tell you
Yeah.
that you
But if you just
emailed
text
There
me,
you go.
text me. That's a lot better way.
Yeah.
All right, and real quick before I go, Carter Smith, which is a guy that we had on the show, he's running for judge. So just want to throw that out there. He's having a
Yep.
meet and greet this Thursday night, which is Thursday's going to be the what?
Uh-oh. No, that's
Oh,
Today's the 2nd.
5th.
So there you go.
March 5th. He's going to be doing a meet and greet at the observation deck over at Cypress Point Resort. You're all
Mhm.
invited. He's going to be there for a couple hours.
Good venue, by
And
the
if
way.
you're in Rankin or Madison County, because this seat for circuit judge, what we like about him is he explains what a circuit judge actually does.
Oh,
There's
yes.
something about that. Yeah, tell me what they
I
do.
mean, because
I don't
most
know.
people, including myself, without somebody explaining all these different judge things, I'm like,
But he can also explain it in layman terms where you
Yes.
understand. There's not a lot of technical jargon.
anyway, Carter Smith, Thursday night, Cypress Point, 6 p.m. Stop in, no charge or any of that crazy donation stuff.
There
It's
are
a
no
meet and
stupid
greet.
questions. Show up and ask them
That's
whatever it is
right.
you want to
There you
ask them. And,
And remember,
knowledge is
judges are
power.
nonpartisan, so you can ask them whatever you want to.
Yeah.
You know,
There you go.
what they're all about.
There you go.
So find out what he's about. I can tell you that he's worked for the DA for many years and he has lots of
We've got a lot of
experience.
experience. Lots.
All right. Appreciate it, Dan.
hey, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it,
Yes,
guys. I
thank you
love
so
your digs
much.
here. This is nice. And this chair.
Yeah.
Can I take it with me when I leave?
No,
This
it's
is
pretty
comfy.
soft.
We got Dan. We got the beautiful Kim. My name is Daryl.
We'll have you back on soon.
Okay, let's do
Yes.
it.
And until next time, see ya.
See ya.